have been made. But just so I know you can hear me, maybe if you can just type in, I think you can type in a message there, let me know that I'm coming through loud and clear. That'd be much appreciated. Should see a chat, little chat box there. I'll just type in here, can you hear me? Just make sure you're coming through loud and clear. Someone can give me some feedback. So as you know, Wenyard made some big announcements over the last 24 hours, and all these things are geared to help you to actually boost your efforts in earning income with Wenyard and to grow your team. And as I go through these announcements tonight, I'm sure that you will see that all of these announcements are all good news for everybody that is involved. The first thing I want to talk about is, how do you make money in Wenyard? Because it's one of those fundamental questions that gets asked by everyone when we get involved in a business. And I always tell people there are two fundamental principles of making money with Wenyard. You build a network of players, and notice the language that I'm using. We're actually playing a virtual game, and that's what we are. We're not members or recruits, we're actually players playing a virtual game, and we make money by introducing other players. If you've got teenage children, or maybe you're a bit older and you've got grandchildren, you'll know that they're always nagging you to, as far as buying games for their computers, with Grand Theft Auto 5 or all those other games there, and they invite other people to actually play the game. And as people normally, they go online to buy those games, or actually go to the shop to buy those games, we get paid to market the Wenyard game to other people. That's what we do. We get paid to market this game, and if other players come on board and start to play the game, we make money as they come on board. We also make money by buying and selling shares, and as I've told many people, I had never bought a share in my life before getting involved with Wenyard, and this was all completely brand new when I got involved in this. But the great thing about this, it's a very simple system, and the whole idea of the educational side of this is that you can learn the basic principles of buying and selling shares. And someone like me, when the game first went live in the middle of February, I didn't have the faintest idea what I was meant to do. Within 24 hours, it was obvious what we had to do, and now the game's live. We can get on with that. So all the announcements that have basically been made are geared towards helping us boost these two primary outcomes: introduce more players to the game, and also to increase the efforts of buying and selling shares, which leads to more profits. So let's look at how that works. There are fundamentally two types of shares within Wenyard, and it's very important that you understand this. There are the company issued shares and the shares owned by members. Now, the NASCO has different companies, and as we know, when we first launched, there was initially 6 companies that were released on the NASCO, and then in middle of February, when the official launch happened, we had 2 new companies being launched, and there's more companies being released on an ongoing basis. And each time they launch a new company, the company issues shares, and we get to own those shares. Okay, but these shares are treated in different ways, and it's really important that you understand this. So let me cover those little differences. Firstly, company issued shares. Now, the company issued shares are released when Wenyard releases a new company on the NASGO. So as I said, we had 6 companies initially launched in the soft launch period, which was middle of January to mid-February, and then in mid-Feb with the official launch, we had 2 new companies, and there's more coming in April. And what happens from now on, as they release a new company, Wenyard will automatically issue to members who have WFOs that are built up in their WFO escrow account. Okay, so when you log into your Wenyard account and you have the start page, you'll see at the very top there's 2 little boxes there. One has the total WFOs and your current WFO value. And these total WFOs are what they call held in escrow. So you can't use them right now, but basically they use those WFOs to issue you with shares in each new company that is put on the market. Okay. Now, it doesn't cost Wenyard any money to issue those shares, okay, because there's no money being used to purchase those shares. They're being issued in a brand new company. Just like a brand new company who actually, Facebook or a brand new company actually lists on the stock exchange, they actually release shares. Well, the shares don't cost the company anything to release those shares. It's when you buy those shares that they actually have value. Okay, where do the escrow WFOs come from? Well, when you join Wenyard with the various broker packs, with the broker, the pro broker, and the executive, we know we get a certain number of WFOs that come with each of those packs. And as we upgrade from broker to pro broker and to exec, or from pro broker to exec, we get additional WFOs. Also, the one-liner bonus, the momentum bonus, and the incentives and the recognition. There are lots of different ways to earn additional WFOs. All those WFOs go into the escrowed account and they sit up there on that start page, and you may be asking, okay, well, when do I get access to these escrowed WFOs? Well, what happens is these escrow WFOs are automatically used by Wenyard. You don't have to do anything about them. They'll automatically be used by Wenyard to issue you with shares when the next new company is released. And you'll hear in the announcements today that's going to happen in April. When those shares are released, they get to sit there in escrow for 30 days. So you can't actually sell those shares for 30 days, but after 30 days, you've got the option to sell, and you can decide based on the share price whether you want to sell those shares or not. And that's when you can draw that money out. And we'll talk more about that as well. But basically, as I said, the escrowed WFOs that you see on your start page, you can't access them until the next company is released, and then they'll be converted into shares, and then you get to actually sell them after 30 days. In contrast, once you own those shares, we have what we call member-owned shares. No different if you'd gone and bought some shares in Facebook or Apple or Microsoft or any big company out there, and you now own those shares and you can sell them to other people. Now, these shares, when you want to buy shares off somebody else who's an existing member of the game or a player of the game, these shares can be purchased with funds in your mandatory account or your NASGO account, and also from money brought in from outside by members. You know, through you putting funds in with your credit card, or you can do a bank transfer into the system, but basically taking your external funds and putting into the system. And I do have a growing number of people in my team who can see the logic of taking their money and bringing it into the NASGO and buying shares when they're cheap and selling those shares when the share prices go up and making a profit. So you can use the funds in your mandatory account, we'll talk a little bit about that, and NASGO account. But basically what we're saying here is real money is used to buy these shares, because often people ask, well, where does the money come from? How can we possibly get paid real money for shares that are issued to us that have no real value? Well, the reality is that real money is being set aside to buy the shares that you've been issued with. So again, the money that sits in your mandatory account or your NASGO account, or the money you bring in, can only be used to buy shares off other members. They're not to buy the new shares issued by companies. You can only buy shares of other members. That's how the money is available for us to sell our shares and draw that money out. So when you log into your NASGO account, you'll see an icon on the left on the menu that's called your portfolio. And in that will have the total value of shares, and it'll also have the number of shares that you have. It'll have the number of WFOs in escrow, and it'll have your NASGO balance, the account balance that you've got available to buy shares, and your mandatory account. Now, the NASGO account balance is basically funded when you sell shares. So when you sell shares, that money, the actual profits, the proceeds, goes into your NASGO account, okay? And the mandatory account is funded by either funds you bring in or by 30% of your income that you earn by introducing other players going into your mandatory fund. And as you see here, down on the bottom of that slide, you can draw the funds, you can transfer the funds from your NASGO. So when you sell your shares, the money goes from the sale of the shares into your NASGO, and then you can transfer the shares, the money out, sorry, from your NASGO into your Wenyard account. And as you may know or may not know, the funds that are sitting in your Wenyard account is basically your money you can draw out of Wenyard. And, you know, I've been able to draw money every week since I actually began with Wenyard, and it's been a very good business to be involved in. It's really important you understand the basic fundamentals of how this works. Okay, so what impacts share prices? Effectively, there's two little simple things that fundamentally drive the share price. So when lots of people are buying shares, the price tends to go up, and when lots of people are selling shares, the price goes down. It's basically supply and demand. And so you may have noticed that with the initial 6 companies, the share price has gone down. And what happens is a lot of people who were issued a lot of shares during the pre-launch phase and the soft launch phase from October up till the middle of February have basically been selling off a lot of their shares, and that drove the price down. Over time, that'll balance out. In fact, I was talking to somebody who actually deals a lot in shares, and they said the stock exchanges, most of them have been around for a long time. That's why the price tend to, be much more balanced. Our virtual stock exchange has only been live now for a couple of weeks, so it's very, very early days. But fundamentally, if we want the price to go up, what needs to happen? Well, we need to get more people buying. And one of the terms you may have heard a lot about in Wenyard, or you will hear a lot about, or do with share markets, is what we call liquidity. And I didn't know much about this at all myself before I looked it up on Google, and it says definition of liquidity, the degree to which an order is sold in the market affecting the asset price. Liquidity is characterized by a high level of trading activity. Assets can be easily bought or sold are known as liquid assets. The ability to convert an asset to cash quickly, also known as marketability. There is no specific liquidity formula. However, liquidity is often calculated what is going to do. So basically, what we want to do is get lots of buying and selling of shares and lots of money flowing into the NASDAQ, and that will stabilize the price, and the more people buying will also drive the price up. There's another website there called Investopedia, and it says it is safer to invest in liquid assets than illiquid ones because it's easier for an investor to get his or her money out of the investment. Examples of assets that are easily converted into cash include blue chip and money market securities. Shares can fall. So effectively, the great thing about Wenyard is you not only make money by introducing other people to the game, but the simple act of buying and selling shares, you can make good money. And there are people who've already sold over 1 million shares already just in the last month or less than a month. How do we get more money or liquidity into the NASDAQ to create more buying of shares owned by members? In other words, your shares. How do we get more money coming into the NASDAQ that's going to get more shares being purchased and drive the price up? And that's one of the things that Wenyard has looked at very, very carefully. And all the announcements that have been made are basically geared to looking at those issues. And that's what I love about this company. This is a company that's grown from 0 to 120,000 members. In fact, I've been blown away. I've been telling a lot of people that Wenyard's been growing at about 1,000 people per day. Well, if you look at the numbers over the weekend, I think that Wenyard over the last 2 days has put in more than 5,000 members. Now, that's over 2,500 to 3,000 people per day. This thing is really flying, folks. Wenyard not on trial. You don't get to 120,000 members in 4 months, turning over 40 million plus euros. You don't actually achieve all those outcomes unless you're doing things right. And what Wenyard has done is being responsive to the field, listening to the feedback that comes back in, and watching very carefully with our promotions and incentives. I've been launching lots of little things to keep your interest and keep you active in this network. So you don't have to worry about actually trying to keep your team active, because Wenyard's always working at ways to do that for you. How do we get more money into the NASDAQ? Well, you allocate a percentage of every new broker pack sale to the mandatory fund. Now, let's talk a bit about that. Remember we said about the types of shares that are bought. There's the company issued shares, okay? So we want to get people buying member-owned shares. So what Wenyard has actually decided to do is allocate a percentage of every new broker pack from now on that's sold and put that immediately into the mandatory fund. Because remember, the WFOs that you get with your broker packs or the upgrade packs are actually sitting there in escrow, and they'll get automatically converted to shares in the new companies. So you don't get access to that right away. Now what they decided to do is actually take out 10% of the value of those WFOs and immediately put it into your mandatory fund and give you a chance to start buying some of the existing shares off other people, which is fantastic. It means there's more money flowing into the NASDAQ, more shares are going to be bought. So I'd be excited about that. Start building your portfolio instantly. also with the upgrades as well. Okay, so basically as people buy a broker or buy a pro broker or an executive broker, 10% of that is going to go into their mandatory fund and enable them to buy some shares instantly. And again, we want people to be actively involved in buying and selling shares as early as possible. You know, the earlier one actually experiences the excitement of getting in there and buying and selling shares, the better. So I think it's a very smart move on Wenyard's behalf to give people some money. Just to recap, 10% of the product package fee, broker, pro broker, executive, will go into your mandatory fund, and that became effective as of today moving forward. So let's look at each broker pack. I just want to talk a bit about this too so you understand this, you know, because a lot of people don't understand, again, where does the money flow to? Well, out of every broker pack that's sold, a certain percentage goes into the binary steps. Okay, this is the income that's paid for you to build your two teams, your left and right team, and as you've got 400 points in sales between your two teams with at least 134 on one side, that gives you binary steps. As you help your personally introduced members and players make money from binary steps, you get a matching income. So a certain percentage of every sale goes towards matching income, and a certain percentage goes towards the incentives, and obviously some is put aside for the company to make a profit as well. And we want Wenyard to be profitable. We want to make sure that they've got the money to actually pay their staff, as far as the management, all the running costs, run the promotions, and make sure that they have incentive as well. You know, it has to work for both parties. It's got to be profitable for them and profitable for us to succeed. So that's, you know, some very basic breakdown of how the broker pack or the pro broker or the executive is actually split up. In the new model, what's happening, I'm moving forward, because they've allocated some of that sale to the WFOs, what's going to happen is that the allocation for the binary steps will be a little bit smaller, because again, you've only got a certain amount of the pie. You know, the actual pie is only so big, and so when you break up the pie and all of a sudden you allocate a portion of that now to giving people money to spend to buy shares of other members, the money's got to come from somewhere. But the beauty of what you'll see is by doing this, there's going to be more money actually flowing through on a consistent basis. And we're all looking for residual income. We all want income that's going to come in day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And so this is a very positive move to help that happen. So there'll be a small decrease in the step value, and there'll be news coming out about that. What it'll end up doing, though, is having more money being allocated to buy your shares. And of course, as you know, with the one-liner bonus, you can earn up to 6,000 euros a week. I mean, until like myself and others who are already earning 5,000 euros a week of shares. And again, those shares can be sold. Okay, so the one-liner bonus is something that you want to be aiming for, and that basically is based around the pack level that you are at, the number of people that have joined the entire company since you began, and also how many people you have personally introduced to Wenyard. So in the slide, a small comparison. The difference is that we've now got money allocated towards the WFOs out of every pack that is sold, and a slightly smaller allocation towards the binary steps. So I hope that all makes sense. And you can actually watch this recording anyway if it doesn't. Okay, so what's another way to get more liquidity into the NASGO to create more buying of shares owned by members? So again, we gave Wenyard lots of feedback. I know many other leaders did as well, a lot of people who are experts in share trading. There was a massive amount of feedback that was given to Wenyard, and I said, you know, this is the company that in the times that I've been involved with them, I've seen firsthand that they do listen and to the field. You know, they're not going to listen. They're not going to take on board everything that we tell them. But I've got to say that they have made some very positive changes. And even when they've made a choice that probably wasn't the best choice, they've been very quick to react and take that back and change it for a better one. So what they've done is they've incentivized people to put more cash into the mandatory account to buy shares. In other words, giving people a reason to take their money from outside Wenyard and put it into buying shares. And as I said, I've got a number of people who've been doing that, taking their money from outside Wenyard, not just their earnings, money from outside Wenyard, putting it into the NASGO and buying shares cheap. Now think about it. Some of the shares now you can buy for 2 cents, for 3 cents, 4 cents. Now what's going to happen if you bought, say, 500 euros worth of shares at 3 cents, and those shares go to 6 cents. Well, before you know it, you've doubled your money. Now, if you look at some of the company shares when they were issued, you know, the two new companies were issued at 15 cents. Some of those shares have, at different points, have gone up to €1.50. I think they're hovering around the 50 to 70 cents mark right now. So you're getting 3, 4, 5, up to 10 times the value if you sold at the right time. So bringing money in, buying the shares when they're first issued or buying them when they're cheap, and that's the simple thing about the share market. I mean, I said I'm a complete novice. I know next to nothing. But I do know that everyone tells me you buy low and sell high. So as long as you follow those basic principles, you should be okay. So one of the things that they've released is what they call Become an Executive Broker Gold for only 100 euros. And you get 125% of the recurring bonus. Okay, so we need to first explain what is the recurring bonus and what is this 100 euros all about, and what does it mean by being an executive broker gold. Excuse me. So let's talk a little bit about that. The recurring bonus is a new income stream that's going to become available on April 1, 2014. So that's not that far away. April Fool, it's not April Fool's joke, folks. This is the real deal. You know, another income stream in addition. Now, if you've ever bought and sold shares on the real stock market, again, I haven't, but I've been told that you actually pay a brokerage fee. And obviously, the stock market brokers, that's how they make their living. They make their living out of actually taking a commission on the sale of any shares that you sell. So the same with Wenyard, there is a percentage of every sale is taken out as a brokerage fee. Now, the recurring bonus payouts will start April 1, and it's basically a way to give residual income, because you imagine some people will be selling shares maybe daily, every couple of days, at least every week, but people are going to have lots of incentive to continue to buy and sell shares. So there's brokerage fees being generated all the time. And for every sell trade in the NASGO, there's a brokerage fee for that transaction. This is a small fee for which all trades and stock exchanges use to cover their expenses and administration. 75% of the brokerage fee will be redistributed back to the Wenyard members as a recurring bonus. That's pretty cool. And what's going to happen is it's going to be given back as points that will flow into your left leg volume and right leg volume. So depending on which leg people are in that are buying and selling the shares, that brokerage fee, the recurring bonus, will add points to left and right and get paid out as step income, and obviously you're going to get the recurring bonus happening. So again, 75% of that brokerage fee goes back to the network. Now, if you want to get the maximum amount of the recurring bonus, you need to look at which pack level you're at. In other words, if you're a broker, you only get 25% of that recurring bonus. If you're a pro broker, you get 50% of the recurring bonus that's on offer. And if you're an executive broker, you get 100% of it. But again, you need to make sure that you are paying your 10 euros a week qualification. The 10 euros a week that you pay gives you 10 euros of WFOs, which again is automatically converted into shares, and you can sell that and make money. Okay? But the important thing is you need to be qualified each week to continue to earn the recurring bonus, and there's another extra incentive to be an executive broker, so you get the maximum amount of that. What does it mean to become an executive broker gold? As an executive broker gold, rather than getting 100% of the recurring bonus, you get 125%. You may be thinking, well, how can they possibly pay out 125%? But remember, they're only allocating 75% of the brokerage fee to the recurring bonus. So for example, 75 times 125 is actually 93.75%. So you're still not paying out the full brokerage fee. And it's important we know these things, so we know, because people, will work these things out, and if it looks too good to be true or the maths doesn't add up, then people will start to question how real this is, where the integrity is. You know, Wenyard's been very transparent about everything they've done, and as you can see, the money is there to pay this. Rather than getting 25% as a broker, or 50% as a pro broker, or 100% as an exec, you can basically get 125%. So let's go a bit further. So for new members, new people, so people that you're talking to that you want to introduce to Wenyard, you want to get them to purchase an executive broker pack. Then what they need to do is put 100 euros into their mandatory account. Okay, so they can either use their earnings that are in their Wenyard account. So for example, if they start building a team, make some money, they take 100 euros of their income, transfer that to the mandatory account, or bring 100 euros in from outside, from their credit card or a bank transfer. That'll upgrade them to the executive broker gold. Now that 100 euros in the mandatory account can immediately be used to buy shares, and obviously you can buy the shares when they're cheap, or you can buy shares in any of the 8 companies that are on offer at the moment. And of course in April there'll be even more companies, so there'll actually be a total of 10 companies available. For new people at any stage, they can upgrade to executive. Just put 100 euros into their mandatory account. But again, you need to make sure that you're paying the 10 euros a week. If you don't upgrade and pay the 100 euros into your mandatory account within 10 days of becoming an executive broker, you can still qualify to be an executive broker gold, but you'll need to transfer 500 euros of your earnings into the mandatory account. So again, it would make sense that if somebody's becoming an executive broker, just get them to add another 100 euros on top, use that to buy some shares. They're going to be a executive broker gold, getting 125% of the recurring bonus. They've got 100 euros as well to use towards buying shares. If they become an executive broker, they're going to have 80 euros now as well allocated towards buying shares. So they're going to have 180 euros worth of shares instantly, which they can start to use and buy and sell. For existing members, so if you're an existing member, which you all are, if you want to become an executive broker gold and take advantage of the cheap 100 euro offer, you need to do this before midnight March 19th, within 10 days. So this is the first day of this 10-day period. If you don't do that, then you'll have to wait until you can put 500 euros into your mandatory account. Okay. Again, this may not be for everybody, but if you want to maximize your income potential, it would make sense. And not only that, you can sell those, the 100 euros you put in, you can buy shares and sell those shares anyway, get your money back quickly. So not a real issue at all. Okay, let's look at the next big promotion that they've launched. It's called their Epic Production Promotion. What's happening is over the next 4 weeks, in April 27th, they're releasing 2 new companies. One of them is called Pharmacific. It's a leading innovator of digital medical imaging systems. I suppose that would be like X-ray machines, ultrasound machines. And a lot of the companies you see on the NASDAQ are actually modeled off real companies out there. Now, what's going to happen is that the top 1,000 producers over the next 4 weeks are going to share in all of the shares available for Pharmacific. So think about that. This is you and your personal team. It's not the spillover in the binary. We're talking about the people that you introduce and who they introduce and who they introduce. This is your personal team. The top 1,000 producers over the next 4 weeks will have all the shares in Pharmacific distributed amongst those 1,000 people. So it looks at your entire organization of your personal team. So a good incentive to get busy. Think about that. With the way we're going right now, there'll be around 150,000 members, at least, within 4 weeks. 1,000 people means that you've got a 1 in 150 chance. Now, that's not bad odds when you think about it, okay? A 1 in 150 chance of being one of the 1,000 people who's going to get this massive influx of shares, which you can sell them, and that could really pay for some serious goals. So this is a really strong reason. If you've been thinking about getting active or not quite ready to get active, now is a great time to get serious about your goals. We've got everything in place for you to help you build your business, but now is a great time to get busy. And of course, this all coincides with the release of the 2 new companies, Pharmacific and ITV Vision, which are being released on April 27th. which would also mean that any escrow WFOs that you've built up that you see in your start menu will also be converted into shares on April 27th, and they would be converted into shares on ITV Vision. So the 1,000 people will get the share in Farm Pacific. Everyone else with their WFOs they've built up will get converted into shares in ITV Vision. So I hope that's all making sense so far. So we've got lots of great incentives, okay? We've got 10% of every new pack being allocated to the mandatory account, which puts more money in there to buy your shares. We've got people being incentivized to put more money into their mandatory account, which again is more money to buy shares, which drives the price up and it's more funds available to buy the shares that you may want to sell. That's what it's all about. We can make money by selling shares, not just building a team. We've also got an opportunity to be one of the 1,000 people that will get to share in all the shares in this new company release in a few weeks' time. What should you be doing next? Well, if you're an existing member, you want to get to executive gold status before March 9 midnight. Okay, so get to executive, transfer your €100 either out of your earnings or from outside into your mandatory account. Take massive action in the next 4 weeks. Everybody can sustain 4 weeks to 30 days of massive action. Cancel all your social plans and everything else. Take advantage of the opportunity the next 4 weeks. Make this the foundation. This is what I did. When I first got involved with Wenyard, it was not a good time in my life. I had a lot of other stuff. I was making some major changes in a lot of aspects of my personal life and my business life, and I wasn't looking for Wenyard. So I really did not much for the first 4 weeks. And even the next few weeks, I did not much at all. And then when I got focused, I really knuckled down and I set up all my social media channels and I started creating YouTube videos as far as my blog posts, and I just started talking to everybody that I knew about Wenyard. And that foundation that I built over a 30-day window has now resulted in a business that generates money every single week, and it's growing, and there's leaders in place now who are building the business independently of me. And that's what we all want. We all want to develop a team of people that are building it independent of you. Now, over the last week, I've been sending out a lot of updates about how to create a marketing sales funnel that I actually put all the information in the free generation doc that I sent out. It was a PDF. Please check your emails from the last few weeks, or actually go to my blog. Just go to the makemoneywithwenyard.com, makemoneywithwenyard.com. Lots of information on there. But what you have to decide is, do you want to build your business the old way, where you're chasing people, chasing all your friends and your family and all the old people that you've dragged through maybe other networks in the past? Or do you want to build a sales funnel where people are finding you, where people are being pre-qualified, watching your YouTube videos, reading your blog posts, reading your social media posts, getting all the information they need to make an informed decision, and then which actually filters out the people who are serious from the ones who aren't serious. And therefore, the only ones that are talking to you are the people that are serious about the business. And that's what it's all about. We want to talk to the people that are serious about our business. We don't want to waste our time trying to convince people. All the time I get messages on Facebook or on Skype, or somebody telling me, it was on Facebook, just before I began this webinar, there was a person in Africa who messaged me and he said he was trying to prospect me for something that he was involved in, and I said, you should look at Wenyard. He said, can you actually tell me what it's all about? And I said, I can. Watch this 4-minute video, and if you like that video, here's the website that I want you to go to. Yeah, but can you tell me how it works? Yes, watch the 4-minute video and then go to my website. If there's any questions after that, I'm happy to talk to you then. I don't talk to anybody unless they have done that. I'm pre-qualifying the person to see how serious they are. And I build a sales funnel that's generating traffic online, where people are going into Google, YouTube, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, SlideShare, Tumblr, Blogger, all these different social media, Pinterest, social media channels. Whether you understand them or not doesn't matter. I don't know how Twitter works. I really don't understand most of the social media channels that are out there. But what I have done is I've built content that I continually post, and last week I condensed everything that I've learned over the last 18 months with a lot of money, a lot of time, and put it into a document. And I sent an email recently, was basically along the lines of that classic movie A Few Good Men, if you remember the actual courtroom scene with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. And Tom Cruise is the lawyer who's interviewing, is asking questions of Jack Nicholson, and he wants to find out the truth about what happened. And Jack Nicholson actually replies and says, "But you can't handle the truth." Well, I get asked all the time by people, "Michael, what's the truth? How do I really build this? How do I build this in a way that I don't have to go chasing my friends and family?" But the reality is, I share this information with people, and sadly, most people don't implement it. Will you have to learn some new things? You bet you will. Will it take some time and effort? Yes, it will. But isn't it worth spending the next 90 days, spending a little bit of time setting up your foundation, learning some new skills that are going to free you up, where all of a sudden you could potentially be spending 3 to 4 hours a day building your business and earning a full-time income? Because that's where I've got to. I've done the days of working 12 to 16-hour days, 6-7 days a week. I've done that, running my own MLM companies and actually doing consulting. A lot of things go along with that. I set out with an intention with Wenyard to only be working just a few hours a day. And the only way you're going to do that is to create an automated sales funnel and learn some of the basic strategies of how to set up a funnel that gets people coming to you and chasing you, not you chasing them. And until you're prepared to do that, you'll keep doing it the hard way. And the hard way is not much fun. So folks, lots of great news there. Actually, I'll put this up, a YouTube video. This will be a YouTube video on our channel. It'll be available. I'll put a blog post around it as well. Hope you enjoyed tonight. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask before I wrap it up? Because I want to try and wrap this up and not hang you on too much longer. Otherwise, if no questions, as I said, check out makemoneywithwenyard.com. Read that blog. It's got lots of great information on there. As far as a YouTube channel, do a search for Make Money with Wenyard. Do a search on Facebook for Make Money with Wenyard. Make sure you subscribe to our team updates. Plug into the system. Get plugged in. Spend a little bit of time every day laying your foundation. Well, thanks everyone. I look forward to sharing more with you on a weekly basis from now on. And I look forward to you real soon. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.